Welcome back to our journey through the fascinating world of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime's Light Novel. Let's continue from the last part, where we left.
Rimuru found Ramirez and Veldora already in the command room, while Dino and Vester were off duty for the day. Vester seemed worn out lately, so Rimuru wanted him to rest. Ramirez and Veldora, on the other hand, were full of energy, never seeming to tire. Ramirez greeted Rimuru cheerfully, mentioning there were no changes to report yet, though Rimuru wasn't quite sure what she meant by that. He figured she was just playing pretend Navy captain in her mind. Rimuru glanced at the large screen in the room, displaying three young men battling through the labyrinth. Their fighting style was quite unique, especially one of them who seemed to manipulate the air itself, unleashing powerful blasts. He was big, muscular, with brown hair and a strong jawline, wearing a tank top and jeans definitely different from the usual attire here. The other two were equally unconventional. One was small and skinny, cloaked in a black robe, while the other wore chainmail with a lab coat over it, hinting at his Asian origins. As Rimuru watched, they faced a tough challenge, a pack of 6 death wolves attacking swiftly. It was clear that beyond floor 50, even the lower-level enemies were smarter and more dangerous. A death wolf was a really strong monster. Even one was a tough opponent, let alone 6 together. They were ghost types, so regular attacks didn't work on them unless you had special weapons like holy or magic ones. Their bodies were made of magicules, so even if you knocked them back, they'd just come back. But Tank Top, one of the guys fighting, wasn't having any of it. He grabbed his big axe, the Minos Bardish, and with one swing he took out 3 wolves at once. That axe was special, made of mithril, which could hurt ghost enemies. Watching them fight, Rimuru remembered that Bovix dropped that axe. Veldora and Ramirez commented on Tank Top's skill with the weapon, impressed by how quickly he got the hang of it. As Rimuru listened, he wished he had some fries to munch on. Tank Top seemed to be handling most of the fighting, showcasing his strength as he took down monster after monster. Meanwhile, Black Robe had a talent for spotting traps quickly, ensuring their safety as they ventured through the dungeon. His ability to detect traps made him invaluable for their team. As for Labcoat, he hadn't been very active except during the battle with Bovix. Veldora described an event where Labcoat used a syringe to inject both himself and his companions, causing Bovix to slow down significantly. Rimuru found this puzzling and asked Raphael to review the labyrinth's memories, revealing that Labcoat had used a nerve poison to incapacitate Bovix temporarily. So, it turns out they could control the poison gas to make it more dangerous for their target. With Bovix slowed down, Tank Top finished him off, while Labcoat, who seemed to be the leader, administered a fatal blow with a silver scalpel. Labcoat mainly stayed out of direct combat, instead coordinating their actions from behind the scenes. This allowed Tank Top to focus on fighting without any restrictions. It was a smart and well-balanced team. Just then, Shuna entered with immigration data on the trio: Shingi, age 23, a magician Mark, age 26, a warrior, and Jen, age 17, a hunt master. The file provided a list of their names and jobs, stating they were from a small part of the Empire. They claimed they came to Tempest after hearing about the dungeon from a merchant, but it sounded like a lie. Raphael analyzed their unique skills, which Beretta mentioned. It seemed unlikely that these 3 randomly formed a party. Their professions intrigued me. A magician like Shinji mastered spirit and elemental magic, showing intelligence. Mark, listed as a warrior, was skilled in various combat techniques and weapons, making him versatile. Jen, labeled as a hunt master, excelled in bow hunting and trap detection, indicating rare expertise and coming from a specialized background. The group of 3 with impressive jobs seemed odd. Diablo, who was just there, looked like he felt left out because I had to delay our meeting about magic. They acted like they were telling the truth, but I wasn't sure. Veldora didn't worry much, but I felt we needed to be careful. The guy in the lab coat, probably named Shinji, and Mark, who wore a tank top and was good with his special poleaxe, seemed like they knew what they were doing. But their behavior was strange, so we had to watch them closely, even though they seemed friendly. Jen seemed able to spot traps effortlessly, likely with a unique skill. For most challengers, traps were the main threat below floor 50, but Jen's skills made them irrelevant. He also had a keen sense of direction, easily navigating through obstacles. With Shingi's healing abilities and their ability to neutralize poison, the trio breezed through the labyrinth's dangers. It seemed tailored for them, rendering the challenges meaningless. 3 days passed, and Rimuru, Veldora, and Ramirez watched Shingi's party with excitement, denying any ulterior motives. Diablo read quietly, while Shine learned baking from Shuna, serving apple-flavored black tea. Veldora, curious about Rimuru's mention of taking the bait, pressed for an explanation. Rimuru revealed their evacuation plan, using Ramirez's skill to hide the town in the dungeon as bait for Imperial spies. Testing it multiple times, they left only the labyrinth's entrance gate on the surface, expecting investigation. Ramirez and Veldora boasted about their contributions, with Rimuru acknowledging Veldora's help, albeit reluctantly. When Diablo offered his cake, Rimuru graciously accepted, acknowledging Diablo's ongoing support. Enjoying his cake, Rimuru observed the party preparing to face the Guardian on floor 60, debating whether to detain them as spies or let them continue for testing purposes. Despite the cost, Rimuru decided to allow them to progress, planning to confiscate their winnings if necessary later. Veldora and Ramirez praised Rimuru's strategy, while Shuna rolled her eyes at their antics. Rimuru expressed surprise at the party obtaining a powerful weapon, the Minos Bardish, and worried about the boss's chances against it. Despite offering advice to the boss, Adelman, Rimuru doubted his ability to stop the trio and shifted focus to the Guardian of floor 70 instead, hoping to avoid any grudges from Adelman. As Adelman detected intruders in his territory, he grinned with skeletal lips, causing his teeth to clatter lightly. Alberto, once a paladin and now Adelman's loyal companion, remarked on his master's good mood. Despite being demoted to a skeletal fighter after joining Rimuru's force, Alberto's transformation into a death paladin granted him fluency and a spectral appearance. Though pale and surrounded by blue wisps, he retained his pre-death appearance, distinguishing him from regular skeletons or death knights. Adelman, who preferred his skeletal form, contrasted with Alberto, who cherished his magical ability to fashion any body he desired. Alberto retained his youthful appearance and wore formidable armor, signaling his strength. Excited by the arrival of guests, they acknowledged their duty to serve the demon lord who provided them refuge, knowing mistakes were not tolerated. As they shared a knowing glance, a blood-curdling scream pierced the air, signaling impending action. Adelman, fueled by renewed faith in his new god, prepared to unleash his powers to prove his loyalty to Rimuru. Despite experiencing defeat in the past, Adelman's devotion had been rekindled, granting him even greater strength as a White King. With unwavering faith, he stood ready to serve Rimuru with all his might. To Rimuru, Adelman's unwavering faith felt suffocating, as he had already dismissed any chance of Adelman's victory and focused on the next Guardian. However, Adelman remained determined to win at any cost, discussing strategies with his companions as they awaited the arrival of the intruders. Defeat was not an option for Adelman, who was prepared to fight relentlessly to secure victory. But the battle was over almost as soon as it began, and it was clear who the winner was. Adelman's team completely outclassed their opponents, leaving Rimuru stunned by the quick and decisive victory. Despite the challengers' enthusiasm and good health, they couldn't match the strength and skill of Adelman and his companions. It was a lopsided victory that left Rimuru speechless. Looking at the challengers' abilities, Rimuru realized they were stronger than Adelman on paper. Each of them had skills rated above a rank, and Shingi's unique skill, Restorer, stood out as particularly rare and powerful. With Restorer, Shingi could manipulate tiny viruses to destroy living organisms from within and create lethal viral clouds in the air. These clouds were undetectable unless you had specialized equipment, making them almost impossible to defend against. Additionally, Shinji could also use his skill to heal others more effectively than advanced medical technology. The versatility of Restorer made it a formidable asset. Mark's power came from his unique skill hurler, allowing him to throw anything he could hold like a javelin, including monsters. Combined with gravity control magic, he became a formidable threat capable of taking on entire armies rather than just single targets. Meanwhile, Zen's unique skill, Observer, enabled him to instinctively dodge threats, detect danger and traps, and discover hidden monsters and presences, including Shingi's viral clouds. With his own fighting abilities and evasion skills, Zhen was incredibly fast, nimble, and immune to most traps, making him a formidable opponent in any labyrinth. That pretty much summed it up. Each of them had impressive skills that worked well together, making them a formidable team. Rimuru thought they would easily defeat Adelman, but he was wrong. Adelman had been getting stronger over the past few months, which was unusual for a non-sentient monster. Normally, monsters don't change much in terms of fighting ability, but Adelman and Alberto were exceptions. Wow, what's going on here? How did these guys become so strong? Rimuru wondered aloud, baffled by the unexpected turn of events. As he peered into the boss chamber, he spotted Adelman, Alberto, and a menacing dragon he had never encountered before. The dragon was nearly 40 feet long and emitted a dangerous miasma from its mouth. Rimuru couldn't help but wonder who brought it there and what had been happening while he was away on his international tour. Diablo, with a mischievous grin, explained that while Rimuru had provided the trio with new equipment, they had been diligently training and absorbing the high levels of magicules in the dungeon, allowing Adelman and Alberto to regain their old powers.
That's it for today, guys, and thanks for watching the video. Stay tuned for next chapter. Until then, goodbye.